Avi Meyer's Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Don't forget, Jewish Chicago will be coming out mid-October for your early voting pleasure, right before the start of early voting. Community policing, we hope it's still going to be alive, around, and well, but it's undergoing changes right now. We'll see how it works out. Hopefully, for the best for the citizens of Chicago, it will grow strong and thrive. In the meantime, Facebook is a very interesting medium. You get to meet all kinds of interesting people you might not have otherwise met. And in this particular case, this is a case of somebody I've met over Facebook. He always has a lot to say about ATMs and all sorts of other things. And you know what? I started thinking about what he wrote, and I thought, boy, this would make a very interesting segment to talk about. And I'm going to let him give you his exact title or what he does, but I'd like to welcome Joe Zingher to the show. Joe, how you doing?
I'm good, Avi, thank you.
Good, and what do you do?
Not much of anything. I'm retired. I used to be a lawyer, practiced for 10 years, did not find myself terribly happy with it, and thought I found something better to do.
Okay.
Which was, came up with the idea of a reverse emergency PIN system for ATM users. The idea is if you're forced to make an ATM withdrawal, you type your PIN in backwards, the computer kicks out the cash, but it also calls the police. I figured if this was installed on every ATM in the country, then bad guys would have a reason to just grab the money and run instead of taking the hostage somewhere, killing the hostage, and then cleaning out their bank account over the next few days. Boy, was I wrong, and that led me to start digging into ATM crime, and what I found is pretty disgusting.
Okay. I mean, I don't even have an ATM card, by the way. I'm very untrustworthy of it.
Nobody starts off by saying, pardon me, have you got an ATM card by any chance? That's not how street crime starts.
Yeah.
What I found as I started digging into this and started doing research is that for decades, police departments have been complaining to their various city councils and state legislatures that they can't track the problem. It has a common nickname, the express kidnapping. But because it doesn't have a crime code section, it simply disappears amongst hundreds of thousands of other robberies every year. So it's out of sight and it's out of mind. Now, ATMs were introduced way back in '68 when police departments really weren't computerized. They've improved their software a lot, and I've been able to get some data out of some police departments, not Chicago, not the Illinois State Police. I got data out of Rockford. They had 3 murders out of 102 murders over a 5-year period. That's roughly 3% of the overall murder rate. If that number holds up here in Illinois, that's 21 murders per year. That's a lot.
That is a
lot.
But
that doesn't include people like you who don't carry ATM cards in the first place. It seems that a lot of these guys are simply junkies looking for a fix. Some guy who's tweaking on crystal meth may shoot you just because he's angry. I went on the internet, and anybody at home can do this. Go to Google News, type in the keywords ATM and murder, and see what you get. Just look it up. You'll find plenty of examples. They mostly seem to start as carjackings from a parking lot or as a home invasion. The victim's driven to the ATM. It almost never begins at the ATM. They're driven to an ATM. Once the first withdrawal is made, the criminal learns there's still $1,200 in the account. So his best option, since he knows the police have not been called, is to kill the victim and hide the body and just spend the next few days cleaning out the bank account. For those 2 or 3 days that between cleaning out the bank account and the murder, the victim, if they're even noticed, they're listed as a missing person, foul play suspected. There's nobody tracking it. Now, that tracking is really important. Nobody's keeping track of the body count. And because nobody's tracking it, that means they can't connect crime A to crime B, which would lead to an arrest before crime C occurs. And since crime C is likely to be a murder, we've got the police blindfolded, unable to find out what's going on. Police officers don't even share this information with each other because the case that they're working on, it's just an individual case. They can't go walk into a squad room and say, hey, anybody else got an ATM connected murder? It's not possible. They have to keep everything confidential. which is also why you don't hear about it in the newspaper. If they give away the fact that an ATM withdrawal was involved, that is an objective bit of data that could be used to compromise the integrity of the case. And believe me, false confessions are a big problem. If you got somebody who knows that an ATM withdrawal occurred, who knows that it was for $400 at the corner of, at an ATM at the corner of Washington and State, and it occurred at 7:48 p.m., you've got somebody who knows all the details of that murder case. So you know you got a good confession from him. But if that gets out, if the newspapers get a hold of it and they publicize the connection, that makes the officer's job harder. So you never hear about it in the news media. It's not that it's covered up, it's just that it can't be released.
You know, I deal in community policing, and the fact is, yeah, a lot of times they'll even tell me, even though I'm an insider, so to speak, you know, it's under investigation, and we really don't want to reveal details at this time.
Yeah, and that's the problem. There have been several attempts over the years to get a dedicated crime code statute set up that would work as an index number. Each time it has been blocked by the banking industry, which doesn't make sense if the banking industry has any interest whatsoever in protecting its customers. They should be pushing it. They should be demanding it. They should have demanded it 10 years ago when it was first proposed. They didn't. They blocked it. They blocked the most recent one. You can figure out for yourself why they would want it blocked. If you've got a state crime code section that you can work with, then suddenly anybody can find out just exactly how many of these murders there are. If you're the head, if you're the head of big bank marketing, how many murders per year make you jump up and down and go, hooray, hooray, let's tell everyone?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a vested financial interest here in keeping that information from the public.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And it also explains why the police aren't tracking it. I mean, the police have to go to the politicians to get the data tracked. Without the politicians' cooperation, you don't get any information. The public remains in the dark.
No, wow, that's you brought up a lot of really interesting points. You know what? I never really fully understood. I understood part of the problem with the ATM, but that's really it's a big problem. And frankly, we do have the finest legislature that money can buy, literally. So
I thought that got bought off pretty cheaply. I mean, what we're talking about is blood money here. I mean, that's literally what it is. Keep your mouth shut. Don't let them know how many people are being murdered. Everybody's happy.
Yeah. Wow. It's not a pleasant situation, and the fact is human life really ought to come first.
Should.
I mean, what if somebody wants to do something about this? Should they contact you?
Contact me. I can tell them what to do. I have a website, ATMSafetyPin.com. It's got my ATM manifesto there. It's about 12 pages of ranting and raving, giving every possible detail, every nuance that I can't possibly go into here. Believe me, there's a lot in it. If I had the connections, I could give a college-level course on this over a semester, 3 credit hours.
Wow. I'm impressed. So the website again?
ATMSafetyPin.com. ATM, obviously, safety pin like a baby's diaper.
Right.
There it is.
I want to thank you very much, Joe Zingher. Another connection through Facebook. I do like Facebook. Anyway, thank you so much for being here, and good luck in your endeavors. It's worthwhile.
Thank you.